Okay, I did an internet speed test a little bit ago, and it looked like it was working fine, so we'll hope that it is still exactly the same. And oh, wait, hold on. What is here it is. Let's go. I got a live streaming notification. I should disable that overlay, fun fact, because that's going to be very bad if I get sent a private message in the future. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that real quick, actually. Webfishing is not on. I remember now. Yippee! Hi, Ocean. How are you doing? Yeah, I finished playing the game with my friend around 20 minutes ago, I would say. And I kind of just ate and I'm ready. How was your day, Ocean? Real quick, I do have to hide the game because I need to disable an overlay for privacy. Doing pretty fine. That's good to hear. Is the overlay button. Okay, hold on. Yeah, you're not able to. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, TikTok is exactly the same. Has been pretty normal. Okay. How about you? I have been. How do I best describe it? Chaotic is a good word. Chaotic in a good way because I've been getting a lot of stuff done. Not like chaotic as in things out of my control. I have been in full control. Yeah, yeah. But shift plus? I do like the overlay sometimes, but I do not like it for web fishing. Just busy basically? Yeah, essentially. Like today's schedule is as soon as I got off work, I played like Borrow Trauma with a few of my friends, and then after that we had a pseudo after party in which we played Pal World. And after that after party, we have this after party, the real after party. Where I get to fish and relax. And not focus on, I don't know, communication. I get to work on my incredible orator ability. Cracked every single vertebrae and your back feels good. All I can sense is a chronic back pain you're going to get in the future. Speaking of, posture check. Okay, I'll do a posture check. Yeah, like whenever you're on YouTube or TikTok and you want to essentially do what the redeems are, you just have to say them. Well, barring a few of them, of course. You're not going to go on YouTube and say Alt F4. Alt F4. I'm like in a competitive gaming tournament or something like that. Alt F4. Quit the game. It'll be funny. End stream. You know what, Ocean? That's a good idea. I should end stream. I will not be looking at YouTube chat anymore. I'm going through the process. So anyways, it was very nice talking with all of you, having this very long and generous conversation. Hopefully you all have a good rest of your day. Hopefully you did / will do some productive. So long, and I continue stream. Yeah, I've done that ending spiel a few times. I can replicate it quite easily. Jump scare. I thought I'd have to be with my own thoughts for a few minutes, but now I'm good. Gosh, I need to check my last FM. Some of these days, I have like 12-hour Spotify listening days. I wish I were joking. My smile genuinely dropped. It's okay, Ocean. I was not actually going to end stream. I've done it before because of the funny, but this is way too early. A smell, clownfish. Ah, English is hard. Speaking of, did I keep Discord open on my first computer or the second? Why do I have Discord open on my first computer? I'm a fool because my microphone is attached to the second one. Oh, there's a meteor, just what I needed. Oh, and speaking of which, I did something that's can be considered ultra rare. I posted a half stream schedule. I know, I'm so good at streaming. I've made that joke so many times, and it's never gonna stop. It'll only keep going. So let me quit out of Discord on this computer. That way it's not being overbearing. Back. And there we are. You're so cool and productive for that. It's more so I would say that I have the technical knowledge and the know-how to do it, but I also have the privilege of having a job and being able to afford these things. It is really cool that I can do that, and I feel bad for people that do not have the same capabilities as I, but capabilities as in being able to have a gaming laptop and the good old tower here that's kind of crumbling. You know, it actually kind of worked out for the best. Because originally, I was just going to spend all the money that I was putting into this gaming laptop into upgrading my tower. But, so for the best. Just do the blood money method. True, I definitely should. Like, murder people. Start dealing in blood diamonds. Also, it is cool to me that Stream Elements, or not Stream Elements, that's something completely different. Stream Avatars works with YouTube. Very nice. I like that. So it's not a exclusively Twitch thing. Although I think Twitch has better... It's a reference to the game called Blood Money. Yeah, I've never heard of that game before. Pretty short. It's like a mini horror game. Hmm. There's been a lot of good short horror games, like Mouthwashing comes to mind. Uh, It's a part 2, basically, to that one game where you click the person for money. I don't know what that game is. Clicking a person for money. Is it buckshot roulette? Because, like, at buckshot roulette, you shoot people, and then you, like, claim the money. I think someone else has talked about it before in chat. Well, I am not the rememberer right now, that is for sure. Rain. Nice. It is still incredible to me that this game will lag on pretty much every computer I've ever run it on. It's a neat concept. Okay. I always like the word neat. It's such a simple word. I think I already got that. I mean, I got a rainfish, but not necessarily a rainfish that's super helpful for me. Speaking of rain, California has genuinely been taking a shower. ISTG. Is to go is definitely what that means. Making up. He is going to be canceled 2 days in a row at this point. Okay. I mean, I remember hearing that California was having a massive drought there for a while, so I guess it's good that they're getting a lot of rain. And like they also had the forest. Was it a forest fire or was it a wildfire? I have a relative who lives like on the west coast of America, and sometimes they tell me news like that. I have a few relatives that live there. Actually, I got relatives a lot of places. Also, I like the fact that you say, I swear to Gorsh. That's what it stands for, by the way. Oh, imagine gosh is loosely replaced with the word God, right? Depending if you're a Christian or not. Yeah, but oh my god is like the worst thing I'll say, and that's only on occasions, really. Yeah. That's perfectly natural to just not want to say swear words or not want to say things like that. And I've certainly gone through my own arc with doing that. I do not like saying those words. Never have, never will. And I still respect people who curse and swear and do all that. It is a means of expression. He doesn't curse, but... But what? He does have a few exceptions. What exceptions are you referring to? I will say dark jokes, and I will do things like that before. Because I believe that I'm definitely one of those people where it's like comedy or jokes and things like that should be very broad. Damn. But technically, that is a good technicality because, like, a water dam, or I'm pretty sure I've used it in either context. I probably should stop using it in the any other options though. Yeah, like if you're getting mad over someone else saying it, then that's a you problem. Well, as with most things in this world, Ocean, context matters. Like if there's a person that's swearing, using a bunch of vulgarity, and like doing all that in the middle of a church with small children, yeah, they should get like talked about. You've used it like I don't give a damn. Why damn is barely a swear. Unless it's a fair word to use. I remember, so this is an amusing thing for me. I remember when I was talking with somebody. I mean, I've talked about him on stream before. I remember talking with Chase, and he said that he swore that I've cursed before because the curse word that I used, and I'm not going to say this exactly verbatim, was the word dick. Like, as in the shorthand for Richard. And I was not using it, like, in the inappropriate context either. I think I was literally just referring to somebody's name. That's how desperate people are to find ways for me to say that I've sworn. I didn't say it as a curse in a way. It's more of a statement or used in context, yeah. Well, you can even advocate that other swear words kind of have that context too. Like the one that starts with S, it's funny talking about it when you're not able to say it. Or the F word, even. Like, it's often used as a vulgarity, the F word, but also is quite, like, descriptive, because it could be used as an adjective, a noun. I'm pretty sure a verb, too. Oh, yeah, a verb. But you said the word streamer. Now I'm gonna clip. Yeah. Or even the word that starts with... Oh, I need to stop saying because that's a bad speaking habit. You know, like in Game of Thrones where they talk about an illegitimate son, starts with B. I've kind of gone back and forth on whether I should use that word. Hi. Hello, Mick Giggle. How are you doing? That one. I've kind of gone back and forth on whether I actually want to use that word. Because that, like, if you call someone that, it usually is derogatory, or, like, there's different things that... It depends the context. It might just be worth it to not worry about it. Like, if those are the things that I'm worrying about, then I kind of have a... I kind of have a separate thing going for me. Good, you? I'm doing pretty well. McGiggle. Those words are used mostly as bad words, though, but I agree. It has its use proper. Alright, I moved the little guys to the bottom left. I can actually make it a little bigger if you want. And it also kind of goes to the extent of, like, it's weird how restrictive some people are when it comes to, like, vernacular and language. Like, there are some unironic people in this world who think that you will go to hell for swearing, like, even once in your life. And I just think that's silly. Yeah, if that's something you care to worry about, I'm not saying don't care about how you talk, but I also say, why give so much? Well, yeah, I've just thought about it before because, like, sometimes it makes it awkward. It's a lot of effort to constantly catch yourself. Well, it's not like I'm catching myself, Wyatt. You know that.
I don't need it.
Thanks for the wobder.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. I need it!
And you can also say that kind of goes into something else that's been very interesting throughout my life. I've talked about this a tiny bit before, but I'm not sure many of my friends know this, but I actually do have... I do not know if it's a genetic thing. I do not know if it's an attitude thing, whether it's like nurturing or nature. I used to have a really bad temper. Like, really, really bad. Like, I would physically get angry at things. I would not be able to control my emotions at all. And throughout the years, I noticed a lot of other people, specifically like members of my family, had this problem also as well. And I said to myself, do I really want to be a person who gets angry, raises my voice at people, and just is overall extremely negative when I'm feeling bad? And I just said no. So I spent years mentally making it so that I control anger in a better sense that's just not visibly like lashing out at people. Also, thank you for the follow-up, Zappy with the 4. It's mood, age, but it does also play a major part of nurture, yeah. Like, what's his name from Simpsons? Sideshow Bob? I know who you're referring to. Yeah, it's... I also kind of share this to say that if you're somebody who wants to live a chill, more relaxed life and wants to have a more calm demeanor, it's not just something you have. Sometimes you have to work for it. I had to work for it. The Flanders. Oh, yes, Ned Flanders. That's correct. Ned Flanders. I remember that episode, too. That was good. No, the Christian one that never gets angry. Yes, Flanders. Yes, thank you. You should thank Wyatt for that. He's the one that got it correct. Oh, Ran. Ocean said thank you, Wyatt. You might have even been able to see that at the bottom left-hand of the screen. Actually, stream avatars is beautiful because technically people can see each other's chats, and I'm not displaying the chats on screen. Cinema. I figured it out. And you get to see little guys at the bottom left of the screen. And I also do hope that I continue to stay this way for majority of my life, where I'm able to control my emotions and express myself as much as I can. Because it's just... I think the worst thing about life, one of the more negative things about it, is not necessarily that we feel things and that we feel emotions. It's quite good feeling emotions, because I imagine it would be quite not great to just feel exactly the same all the time. But it's the fact that when you feel something and you're not able to readily express it, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's happiness, whether it's any sort of thing. Because sometimes your mind can tell you things like you're not supposed to feel this way, or you have to wait to express this emotion. That's why it's good to try and find healthy outlets, and why it's so difficult. Especially when you're a teenager or something, or just dealing with some of these emotions for the first time. Would you play Geometry Dash if I suggested it during an open stream? Yeah, of course. There's going to be an open stream this Friday. Ugh, there's no bait. Like, the only exceptions that I'm going to say for open streams this Friday is probably, like... What would I say? Roblox? I, for example, have a lot of issues with moon emotions. Yeah, it's a very common thing. Whether it be decades ago or now, where it's hard to control, give distance yourself from most emotions. Well, yeah, because sometimes it's kind of negative to express certain emotions. Like if you're angry at somebody or like you feel like you're sad all the time, then you're not really supposed to readily express that. But dang, try RimWorld this Friday. Okay. I will install RimWorld, but you have to actually be there to tell me. If you do not tell me on Friday to play RimWorld, then I will not be playing it. That is always the rule. You cannot preemptively suggest stuff for streams, but you can tell me to install stuff. It's been suggested so much, I assume. No, the thing is, Ocean, is that sometimes it's a little rough when... Hold on, I have to hide the screen for a sec so I can install RimWorld. Sometimes it's a little rough when I'm just constantly playing the same games for open streams, even though I've not had open streams for, like, weeks at this point. It's been a long time since I've had an open stream. RimWorld. Yeah, exactly. Give it a pre-try off stream as well, if I have time. I'll make myself a note. I'll try to live up to that. But alas, as much as I can leave my world full of as many notes as possible, I will always miss something. I try my best to be perfect, to try and do all these things, but I must also admit that sometimes I'm just not able to do it all. Play RimWorld off. Fimsh. No need to do so. I just don't want to see like 20 minutes of then this isn't good, lol. Oh yeah, that's fair enough. That's my number one baby. My baby, it's my child. Also, Wyatt, did you get ads when you joined in the Twitch stream? You're the lead moderator and you've subbed, so you do not get ads, I think, right? I love RimWorld. Yeah. No, I've seen you play it before, and it does seem interesting. The reason I'm not concerned about playing that... No, I'm a mod. Okay. So I'm not gonna snooze the ad break. If anyone else is on Twitch and you want the ad break to be snoozed for a bit, please tell me. Because if Wyatt's the only one on Twitch and on stream, then I'm just gonna play the ad anyway, because it makes it so there's 30 minutes without ads instead of snoozing it for 5 minutes. /J. So you can also turn it off, right? So are you talking about ads in its entirety, or... So the thing with being an affiliate now... did the message not appear? No, all the messages that I see, Ocean, are yeah, exact... Or let me fully read it from where I think you might be talking about. Just because it's been suggested so much, I assume. Yeah, exactly. /J. Did the message not appear? That's all I see. Ads. I think being an affiliate, I'm forced to play ads because I accepted the deal. So I can restrict the ads pretty heavily. But if I heavily restrict ads, whenever anybody joins a stream, they will always get pre-rolls. Why is YouTube tweaking? I don't know. But the way that Twitch works with ads, I do not like this system and I wish they changed it, is that pre-rolls are disabled as long as the first ad break has gone across. So in a minute 15 and like a minute after that, once that ad break is over, anyone who joins the stream will not get pre-roll ads because the first ad break has gone across. At the beginning of a stream, if you join, you will get pre-rolls. I do not know why they did that. I think that is silly. Because it makes it so, like, if you're a new viewer and you're coming to a stream and you get 1 to 2 minutes of ads before you're even going to watch a streamer, you're just gonna click off. Like, I know I would. Sometimes I just do not have the attention span to wait 2 minutes to test if I want to watch something. I also said I like the open streams, and what I was trying to say was /JD was you should give everyone mod for no ads. That actually is a funny idea for people who've already been in the stream so much. So, like, I would say, like, Starberry, Boop, you, Toxic. That would be funny, just giving you mods so that way you don't have to deal with ads. Since you already watched so much. True. But that may also be a very bad idea. Or alternatively, you can just watch on YouTube, where I'm pretty sure you do not get nearly as many ads, which works out just the same. Actually, do people who are VIP get ads? I think they do regardless. One bad apple can ruin the bunch. Yes, that is what I'm... No ads here, baby. True. Does the VIP role on Twitch disable ads for the viewer? It does not? Really? That's silly. I kind of wish that that did. Bad apple? No. I figured as much, Wyatt, but I just wanted to double check. Just private channel. Well, you also bypass sub-only mode and slow mode. Two other nice things, but... Do not tell Twitch I'm thinking this, but, like, if there ever was a case in which I had enough viewers in a stream, I may unironically just, like... Because what... Is this what Asmongold does? Because I think what Asmongold did is he had a very popular Twitch channel, and then he just decided, I hate ads. I do not want to worry about ads. I just want people to watch the streams. So he just created a separate Twitch channel in which no ads are played because he's not an affiliate. That might be a good idea for the future, but I'm not worrying about that now. I said I have steaks for tomorrow with garlic bread. Ooh, that's pretty nice. I did not have steaks. But, like, steaks with, like, steak fries would be delicious right now. Definitely what I should do is I should Uber Eats food to my location. Which is also a very funny idea, because I live, like, 30 miles. No, 30... It's actually pretty far. Let's say... Would it be 30 miles? No, we'll go with that measurement. Like, 30 miles away from most civilization. That's gonna be an expensive Uber Eats order. When you make it big? I hope not. In the countryside? Yes. It is certainly not an urban area. This game just feels like a slow group by a campfire telling stories and talking. Yes, that's what I like about it. That's why I was always... That's why I adore, and I'm really enjoying this period of streaming. Because it makes it fun talking with people, and then somebody else comes in, and they can share their stories. The problem with getting larger communities is that eventually you're not able to connect with people anymore. In fact, one of the saddest stories I ever heard about a YouTuber is, so you know that funny, like, meme of Markiplier crying because he was watching his community video? The reason he said he was crying in that moment is because he realized that he could never have a personal connection with people in his community again because there was so many of them. that he could only essentially be an onlooker, and that everyone was just kind of there, this big amalgamation that he's not able to make personal connections with. And that's really sad. That's like really depressing. Especially if you're somebody who likes the individual conversation and personal relationships. And that's part of the reason I've been reluctant to try and focus on like posting videos and putting out shorts, because like it's gonna suck if that happens. I would still try lol. I imagine Markiplier still tries, and people like that try. But when you have 38 million people who are subscribed to you, it's really hard to like single one person out and like have a conversation with them. Because more often it just kind of becomes a hive mind more than it becomes an individual talk. And people also think you're weird if you start talking to a random subscriber. True. Like, if you're a big YouTube channel and, like, you personally DM or message one of your viewers and, like, talk to them, even if it is a perfectly normal conversation, people will still think you're weird. I try to learn their online names for those who want to try and share it directly to me. I imagine he still tries, and I'm pretty sure there are people in his community that he probably can have individual conversations with because they've already been with him for so long. Like, I'm pretty sure he did stream for a little bit, but he kind of streams very on and off. Man is more of a YouTuber than he is a streamer, but that's fine. Oh, I will warn today. So today is not going to be a long stream, but it's not going to be a short one either. So I'll probably stream for 2 hours, and then it's probably best for me if I end stream. And now a director? True. Well, did he direct a heist with Markiplier and in space with Markiplier? Or is that his first project? Okay, yeah. I'm just saying that beforehand, so like you're not thinking, oh, it's about to end, or oh, it's gonna go on forever. It'll be about 2 hours. Funnily enough, about the length of Iron Lung, because I think Iron Lung is approximately 2 hours and 5 or 7 minutes. I'm gonna look that up just to see if I actually memorize that. Or it could be 17. I'm gonna stick with 7. Iron Lung movie length. 2 hours and 7 minutes. When you're good, you're good. Those are his shows? Well, yes, but you can be director of a show. 24-hour stream when? If I was to do a 24-hour stream, it would probably be like in summer. And it would kind of be difficult. Because currently I only have 1 day off for most of my week. So I'd probably have to like request another day off, or alternatively, I would have to maybe not stream the day beforehand, wake up super early on the day that I have off, and then just full send it. Just ball. It would be tiring. You don't have to be just throwing a hypothetical. No, I know it would be tiring. Like, I did the webfishing stream. I was decently tired at the end of it. But, like, I still think it would be a fun thing to do, so that way I can say in the future, I did a 24-hour stream. Look at me, I'm special. I did a thing that other streamers typically do. True. Blue, very blue. So blue. And then you gotta try a marathon donation stream, but donate 100%. Yeah, I've thought about doing that before, but... I mean, it would depend what the cause is for, because sometimes I feel like some donation streams are a little bit weird. Like, if there are, for like a current crisis or something that's going on, that feels good. But like, if it's like for some political movement or something, I feel like it's weird. Because like, people come to this stream and then they donate. Like, you're over here playing like Animal Crossing and you're like, ICE is a criminal organization. They do the bad thing. Me no like it. I think it should melt. Ice should not be in water. When little bigger first. Cancer treatment thingy. I mean, I would need to think about the exact reason or the exact charity I'd want to donate to. Ice is bad though, but I get what you're saying. Well, I could use any example there. Ocean, of course, ice is bad. Like, I, I'm not really in a super big mood to talk politics, but you know, gunning a person down in the street because they had a concealed carry, generally not good. Arresting people and detaining them, even though they're non-violent offenders, generally not a good thing. Like I'm saying, generally, not good thing. Me no like. And it says I'm getting into the rabbit hole. I'm gonna stop chasing the white rabbit. I'm trying to avoid a little bit now, constantly talking about politics, because sometimes some of my streams just evolve into everyone in the everyone in the stream just going true. You know what, Spaghetti? You're so true. Or shooting someone in their car and calling them a female dog when they're bleeding out. Like, most of the streams that I've had where I talk about politics is just everyone in the chat just going true. So true. You're so right, Spiggy. The white rabbit with the clock, yeah. Honestly, it's more fun when I'm having a conversation with somebody and they actually kind of disagree, or they have a different perspective. Because it's kind of boring when you just have, like, a ton of people being like, you know what's wrong, guys? Racism. Racism's, like, not a good concept, and honestly, I think we should get rid of it. I think that we should, like, teach anti-racism in schools. You could call me an anti-racist, and then everyone claps. Nine 11, everyone claps. Well, it's just one of the bigger issues that occurs with the internet today is that people just create. This is a term you've heard endlessly. I assure everyone here you've probably heard this term, echo chambers. I despise them so much. Even an echo chamber of quote unquote good thoughts or good processes, I did generally do not like, because you can convince yourself. You can make yourself think that you're an absolute good and like you're doing the right thing, but because you're constantly talking with other people about how good you are, you can convince yourself to do very wrong or bad actions. It's It's stuff that's like irredeemable, or like is obviously wrong, but they justify it because they're the better person, or because the person deserved it, or because this is just the way that it is. It's not good. Like, I can give a pretty... I'll give a simple example, not one that's relatively been in the news recently. But it's kind of like when, like, politicians, speakers, whatever, political advocates, whenever something bad happens to them in their life, whether it's something serious like murder or assault, something like that, and then people in the other political party will be like, they got what they deserved. Horrible. Like, although I will say, at least for me, I always say that there's exceptions in life. There are political advocates that, like, they get what they deserve coming to them. No, I'm not talking about as in, like, death. I'm saying, like, if somebody gets assaulted or punched in a bar because they're being racist, or they're just, like, purposely causing a riot, like, what do you expect? I agree, but now we're chasing the rabbit. True. You see, I veered off and then I veered back in. What to talk about? I can kind of talk about a goal. So, my entire purpose for streaming, everything that I've been doing is meant to complete games. I actually do not know how long it's going to take me to get through a majority of my games, like at all. And I also know that there are games that I'm never going to be able to complete. That's something I've already come to terms with. Like Mad Max is a game I'm never going to be able to complete. Probably Team Fortress 2, very likely Team Fortress 2. And it's some dead games that I already have in my library. But like, I don't know how long it's going to take for some of these. I should probably, what would be logical is if I go through my list of games and I just pick out things that I know I'm either not interested. Geometry Dash, never, probably. Are there really rough achievements in Geometry Dash? Like, if it's doing demons or it's completing demon levels, I'm willing to put in the effort to do that. Geometry Dash has so many achievements. Or do you think aliens would come to Earth and interact with humans? So, presuming that they have intelligence and they know what they're trying to talk with. So, depending on their intentions. So, if they're just trying to, like, come in peace and, like, communicate with us and have technology and share things like that, then it would most certainly be, like... I imagine it would maybe be, like... Europe, Washington, D.C. I imagine it would probably not be Asia. No, you have to do so much. Not stopped me before. But personally, I think there is a pretty good chance that aliens do exist, but my thought process behind it is if you're an alien, if you have spaceship, if you have like light speed travel, and you're observing a civilization that can barely discuss whether the globe that they live on is a globe and not flat, what's the point visiting them? Like, what are you gonna do for them? Like, why teach them? They're already so far behind you. You gotta wait. Gotta let them catch up. I'm kind of the person of that mentality where it is that they probably might have like observation technology. They might know how to do all these sorts of things, but they're just not visiting because what is the point of teaching a civilization that's already so far behind and that is not progressing nearly far enough? Or you could always go with the doomer philosophy. And the doomer philosophy would be that we're pretty much the only... We are truly one in trillions. One in trillions, honestly. And we're like the only of our type in the entire universe, galaxy, whatever. I think they could have reached out in the far past, realized that they're too early, and now they're waiting for one more 100 years. I would more think like thousands of years or tens of thousands of years, but I think Jans would also most likely live as alone than interact. Yeah. Well, like, people have the mentality, they try to say stuff like aliens would try to, like, contact us to maybe take our resources. If they have the technology to get here from, like, light years away, what are they gonna take from Earth? I guess there are things like tribes and isolated islands that no one's allowed to interact with. Yep, that's to try and preserve the sanctity of their way of life. Why is computer lagging so much? Disable that. Why would I care about PC? And yeah, if they want resources, they would mine other planets. But yeah. There could already be aliens that at least know that there's a planet with life and are leaving it alone. Humans are naturally violent. Name a species on Earth that's technically not naturally violent. It's kind of hard to come up with a good list. Violence is very good for self-preservation. Yeah, we are for sure on a death world. Their ends, you think they're more likely that they would have fur? Ocean over here trying to convince me. I can read your mind, Ocean. You're trying to say that the aliens are furries. No, they're not furries. I would more so think that it'd probably be something that's a lot more complicated than something as simple as, like, fur or skin. At least in my eyes. Jeremy, do you have something to tell us? No. They won't be furry, but they could have developed something like hair. I suppose, what would the purpose of hair be? You see, we have come to Earth to develop this thing like hair. Make it look as though we look like you. To stay warm, streamer? You're assuming that they live on, like, a cold planet or something like that. You're making assumptions. Or built like we are because of our ancestors? Well, of course. We have so many things like our ancestors. We have... Also, I think I've brought up this theory before. This is something I've thought of. I love this idea. But, like, have you ever had this, like, random... hairs from our days of being completely covered in it? Well, yeah, to stay, like, warm. But humans lost hair to have sweating. So, you know when you have, like, those premonitions or, like, those fears, those things that are innate to our humans? I've always thought that this may already be true, that they're just evolutionary passed from our ancestors. Like, if you have a fear of, like, clowns, then one of your ancestors had a reason to be scared of something that was like of a clown, or that brought that same sort of like feeling to it. And that's why you develop a fear like that. So it's almost as though, I've said this before, that our ancestors live on through us, through their memories. So you could see yourself as a continuation of your long line of people. And that by having children, or seeing your relatives that you have exist and continue on, you will continue to live on forever, because a part of you will always be with them. That is a very, like, naturalistic and genetic way to view, like, continuing on in this life. Not necessarily spiritual, but it was a nice thought. So, crazy thing, but could be likely. Did you know children only react to what people react to? That's crazy. You're telling me if, like, I did that thing, you know, like when you take your fist and, like, fake punch somebody, but, like, you do not go too far, that if I do that to an infant child, that they'll react a little weird? More likely that planets in the Goldilocks zone would be colder than warmer, because planets can grow better when it's slightly too cold as compared to slightly too warm. Box with cobras and snakes and crazy things, but never be feared. So you're saying that even went and bit the snake? Well, yeah, I guess that's an environment thing, where, like, if you constantly, if you're a child and you spend most of your days in an environment where those things are just normal, you just get used to it. It's even, you can take this to a further extension. Like, if you're an EMT or a medic or something like that, it becomes a lot easier to see blood. This rain has been here for a surprisingly long amount of time. The fear is made by watching how we react. Is that necessarily true, though? Because I swear that they did a study where they tested, like, infant children with, like, a platform that looked like, that looks like it goes down and it falls. And that there were children who just naturally did not go on the platform because they thought that it would fall, and they thought they would, like, die or get hurt. But when children eat the dirt, then they just get up. No, kids have fear of heights. That's normal. Well, yes, so what you are trying to say is that people develop fears by looking at reactions to other people. But it may not be as simple as that. Ghost, etc. Oh, Ghost is an entirely separate fun conversation. I've given myself the idea of furry aliens. I have a drawing idea. I will expand upon this. Humans normally have an innate fear of falling. That's not necessarily true, because in that same study, there were children who just readily went over the platform, not caring that it looked like it was going to fall. At all. Not every single child reacted that way. So there is variation in the way that children develop and have fears. Why do you think you can get jolted awake? Because I forget to pay the electricity bill, and then the electricity company is like, I'm going to prank them by sending a little too much energy. And they send it all to you while you're sleeping. Yeah, fair. Also, very obvious from this conversation, but I am not really one that, in terms of like paranoia, or like paranormal stuff, things of that sort, like ghosts, I do not generally believe in it. Just because I think, because you forget to enter REM. Just because the reason I personally do not believe in it is it's so easy to explain without using spiritual, supernatural means. So any movement you have in your dreams happen in real life. REM stops you from acting out your dreams. You're getting a dream where you're getting like choked out to death or getting killed by someone. Oh, the stab marks just show up on you as you're sleeping. Brain is just like, I guess I have to kill you. It's the only way. You did not enter REM sleep. My bad. Only when they have raw cables against your feet. And this in health, true. Kids have two normal fears. Women. Heights. But what about the girls that are like babies? Women. Maybe men. Actually, you know what? Women and men. They fear people. Loud noises and heights. Also, I have an app message for some reason. Oh, you sent me that video about the snakes. Okay, interesting. 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 Like all that stuff with genetics and learning like human nature. I sent it your way, the video. Yeah, I saw it. Because like there's so many weird things that are happening with people, especially over this generation. Like people are generally getting taller because tallness or height is seen as an attractive trait. So people reproduce and they have children that are generally taller because they choose partners that are generally taller, which is very interesting. Like the way that traits get passed down can be so silly and things like that. Like being if a hair color is deemed to be attractive during a time, then that trait gets passed on more and it results in it getting passed on. Blue eyes. The only reason that's somewhat rare, specifically in like European countries, is because if you're a blue eyes, you're often seen as like a witch and they would kill you. Evolution is goofy. My life be a movie, but not a normal movie. It'd be a goofy movie. Honestly, to like really mess over the human race, what I'm gonna do, not exactly. I know that blue eyes, there's a reason why that they became more rare. Usually the reason that I was told it's just what's dominant. Dominant genes are stronger than recessive. That's also not true, what? Because sometimes recessive genes can be more common. Blue eyes is recessive. Recessive traits can be very common. You want a very good example? How many fingers do you have on your hand, Wyatt? It's probably 5, right? Do you know what's dominant in hands? 6 fingers. By your logic, everyone should have 6 fingers. It's more complicated. Wyatt is explaining to me genetics. Yes, the Wyatt, I know how genetics works. Like, I understand the process of, like, dominant and recessive alleles, and I know that, like, if 2 alleles are dominant, then it'll be brown. If 2 alleles are recessive, then it will be blue. If one is dominant and one is recessive for a pair, then the dominant will take over. That makes sense. Yes, the blue eyes are generally considered a recessive trait in human genetics. But yes, like, my life be like, ooh, e, ah. But just because a trait is dominant does not mean that's more common. And thereby, just because a trait is recessive does not mean that it's not the most common trait. Genetics is more complicated than dominant is the more common, and recessive is the least common. It's a statement that you could consider generally true, but not one that's completely representative of the whole. Sent you a chart. I sent you a chart to prove that you're a liberal and you're wrong. But what if furries become so popular we start growing hair more until we're furries after 50,000 years? I don't think you want real life furries, Ocean. That would not be peak. I don't know. Hold on, Wyatt. I can just look it up. I've done stuff with genetics before, and I've had to do a little bit of researching it, and I've taken classes on it. Is there a reason that blue eyes are less common today? Starting to think Ocean is a furry. I already figured that out. Okay, maybe the reason I said was wrong. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Anyways, from what it's saying, it's by human desire. That's not what I'm saying. Genetics and evolution is not dictated by human desire, but human desire can influence it. Imagine an influencer today was like, you know what? You know what's a new hotness that exists in society? Blue-eyed people. I think the only people that should continue to exist are blue-eyed people. More blue-eyed people would exist in society, thereby they would increase and have higher rates. Not necessarily because blue eyes is a dominant trait, but because people actively try to get that trait more. That also happens in like other animals and such. Having an interest in something doesn't make it more likely to appear. But if you have a higher interest in making something appear and you know how it works. True, the influencer at Hitler moment. That's what she meant by wanting more blue-eyed people. Okay, but hold on. Like, why? I'm not saying that genetics change because that influence happens. I'm saying because because people are influenced to try and create. But I'm jumping to Twitch. You're saying if me who has brown eyes and now has blue eyes. Anyway. Okay, I think what's happening, White, is you're misconstruing what I am saying. I'm not saying that because you actively want blue eyes in a child that you will it to be. That's not what I'm saying. My kids with her will be brown-eyed more likely than blue eyes. I don't know, though. So, it depends if you are heterozygous or homozygous in your trait. I have very basic understanding of genetics. It's probably a little bit more complicated than this. I'm not saying it'll just happen. If you are a carrier of specifically only dominant traits that are alleles, then all of your children will have brown eyes. If even one of your children has blue eyes, that means that you are heterozygous. Says, what are you saying? If I'm looking for something, it'll appear more. That's not what I'm saying. This is a really funny conversation. This is truly one of these late stream conversations. What I am saying is that if a trait is seen as advantageous, even if it's purely cosmetic, it will appear more in society. If, let's take peacocks, for example. Let's say having a peacock with a purple feather, even though it's rare, is a trait that can be passed down. That peacock with a purple feather will mate more and will probably pass its trait down more, meaning that there will be more peacocks with purple feathers. Hold on. I can continue with a furry joke, but I won't drag it. Fair enough. So we're talking about natural selection? Not necessarily in this case. Natural selection... I'm not skipping the ad. Natural selection is generally associated with like a trait being actually advantageous. I guess you could say advantageous in terms of like aesthetic. I'm talking more about like aesthetic genetic traits. Like having blue eyes is not genetically advantageous. It is only considered advantageous because if you're mating with your own kind, they like that trait more, and it makes it so you're able to pass on your genetics more. And actually, you could advocate that this might actually be technically detrimental in natural selection, because if you have someone who has an aesthetically beautiful trait but also has negative like survivability traits, and another person who has negative aesthetic traits but positive survivability, then the species might just die out because the the mating rituals is just, oh, I like the way that one looks more. I may have killed our species, but those blue eyes, though. That blonde hair. I'm so lost, lol. Would you do you want me to try to explain one more time what? This doesn't compute. What do you think I'm trying to say is a good way to start? I think you guys are saying the same thing but differently. I'm not sure that's what is happening. Because my side, I'm talking about how even with desirable traits, if they aren't a strong gene, it won't matter. The problem is that the word desirable is not very clear. Do you mean desirable as in of it's attractive, or it's like survivable? It'll be a weak gene. Let me put it this way, Wyatt. Let's take an actor, super beautiful, purely aesthetic, quote-unquote desirable to people of the other sex. They have a gene that makes it so they have, like, mega arthritis. Like, they cannot run. Just like how my dad has blue eyes and my mom is brown eyed. Okay, I'll let you finish your explanation before I say what I'm saying. Also, Ocean, you got 40 seconds before the ads. Desirable traits in sex. Same sex. Ocean, explain to me how someone continues their species by mating with someone of the same sex. I know there's wokeism, but that's a different brand of woke. I'm thrown off again. Okay, Wyatt, focus on the brown eyes and the blue eyes of your mother and father. Why? Why did you do that, Wyatt? Anyways. 10 minutes. Apparently I gotta wait a little bit. Okay, also, Wyatt, if it's easier to do that, or is that Wyatt? That was Wyatt that gave the timeout, but he also just removed it. It might be easier. Do you want to just get in a Discord call and we can talk about this? If my father has blue eyes and my mother has brown eyes, I have brown eyes, my kids will more likely be brown-eyed. Okay, continue on. Even if it's a desirable trait to have blue for light or whatnot. Yeah, lol. Do you want to just talk in a Discord call real quick? Just get this over with. Instead of, like, communicating via light signals and hopes and prayers.
I
Okay,
am
hi,
so
why?
lost. Okay.
Okay, so can I explain what I
We
am
need to
saying?
get to agreement on what we're trying to discuss here because we seem to be running in circles with each other.
Yes, okay. So,
Okay.
what I am trying to say, my perspective is what I mean by desirable traits. So, blue eyes are generally less common in society. All I am saying is that for whatever reason, if in the opposite sex there is this desire for blue eyes, that it is seen as something that's more attractive, it means that if you are a blue-eyed individual and you go to mate with someone, you're going to be more successful than somebody who's brown-eyed. So that means
Right.
that will bring up the rates of blue-eyed people a little bit more. It's not going to, like, overpower it because it's not a dominant trait, but
Right. That's okay. So we are on the same page. What I've been trying to say is it doesn't matter if it's a desirable trait. Let's say blue eye, hazel, or amber. Right. People
Mhm.
want these beautiful eye colors, or let's say, like you said, made up human. Right. They
Mhm.
want to have 6 fingers on each hand, and that's the likelihood of it appearing into the genetic pool. Right. but it's a recessive gene. No matter how much you say, I want 6 fingers, I want blue eyes, I want gray eyes, I want amber eyes. If it's recessive, and let's say person A has 6 fingers on each hand, and they have blue and hazelnut eyes, right, with a little bit of hazel in it. But the other person only has 5 fingers on each hand, brown eyes, but their parents have like green or fucking apricot. Sorry, I'm trying to read what this one says, but it's so small. Heterochromia, whereas like the multicolor, right? Like a super, super small genetic, it will more than likely end up being brown just by the sheer percentage of the likelihood because of the dominance. So even if you say, I want to have a kid, or I'm going to try to get a kid with these specific genetics, you're more likely to have a 1 out of 4 chance that that kid could have blue eyes than they are to have 6 fingers and have blue eyes, or vice versa.
So I think the problem that we're having is I think you are thinking of this in terms of short-term genetics, and I'm thinking of it in terms of long-term. Because in the short term, you are absolutely correct. If I wanted all my children to have blue eyes or something, and I'm like a brown-eyed individual, it's going to be very difficult, and it's not going to be something I'm readily going to be able to achieve. But in the long term, if you have a society and they're like, I want blue eyes, I do not care the way that we get it, they can absolutely have a society that is only blue-eyed individuals because they can have different means of doing it. They make it so they identify people who are heterozygous, who have the both dominant and recessive gene, and they make it so they purposely breed with each other.
Okay, now you're talking about purposeful genetic tampering. That no longer sits in the realm of natural selection, natural things. You're talking genetic mechanisms.
Yes, but people also have natural feelings. Why? Do you agree? Do you agree that in society and with people that sometimes other traits are just seen as attractive, whether it's height, whether it's eye color, things like that?
True, but you're also missing the main factor of environmental. It doesn't matter if like everyone that you're having kids with is fucking Aryan, right? Where they have blue eyes, white hair, or sorry, yellow hair, or blonde hair, whatever, and let's say cyan green skin, right?
Yep.
Those people, even then, and they keep breeding in wanting brown eyes, and let's say they're, like you said, they're decades into it. If there's still the environmental factor that's forcing the genetics to go back towards the other direction because it's more, I guess, beneficial in the genetic pool to still have blue eyes, it's still going to be lean towards blue eyes in the long term. A lot of the human genetic code has kind of been written by our ancestors for millions of years to be in this certain way. Just like how in Africa, right? In Africa, melanin is so common over there because of how hot the sun is. Just like how in Mexico, how hot the sun is over there, they have to have a lot of melanin. Now, let's say they don't want melanin in their bloodline, so let's say they slowly breed out the melanin. It won't matter. As long as you're still within that environment, you're going to have melanin. You're still going to have darker skin. Or if you're in a darker climate like Britain, you're going to have likelihood of bluer eyes because it's easier to see during the day because of all the fog, all the clouds and everything, because it's always foggy there, right? You're going to have a higher odds of a kid having blue eyes than you forcing it to be brown-eyed or green-eyed or amber or whatever. It's not going to... It works in the long term, but it doesn't work in the long term because nature will always prefer over nurture. Like you say, you're nurturing a certain genetic code, but nature will always say, no, I know better in the long term.
That's not true. The dodo, for example, died because of evolution, essentially. It was a bird that could fly, and then it did not need to fly anymore, so it lost its ability to fly, and
You're talking about environmental factor.
That's nature, Wyatt. That's not nurture.
That's environmental. That's an environmental factor. They had no need to fly off the island. They had all the
My
food that
brain
they
hurt.
needed, and they have all the stuff there. So they naturally lost the desire or the need to fly.
Yes, but
Let's say now you breed your dodo to have wings that lets them fly. It doesn't matter. That natural nature of it will always force it right back to not being able to fly again. And no matter how much you force it, it will eventually revert back anyways. Everything turns into a crab, right?
no, not everything turned to crab. I
That's just
the
one of the examples people have used.
so you
Everything turns into a crab at one point.
so what are you trying to advocate that eventually, no matter how much you try to force it, everything just returns to a status quo? Is that what your position is?
Yes. Yes, everything will eventually revert back to how it was before the forced adjustment. You can't have it. It's like dogs, right? Dogs have been tampered with for so long that they can't turn back to where they were. So, when you try to introduce, let's say, wolves back into the genetic pool, what's going to happen with that dog and wolf hybrid? That dog and wolf hybrid is going to eventually turn back into a dog. Or cat and a lion, or whatever.
So,
you know?
The weird position that I have here, what you're saying is that eventually everything returns to the status quo, but using your wolf and dog example, you're saying that wolves turned into dogs, and then when you try to reintroduce wolves to dogs, the dogs just turn back into dogs. So you're saying the thing
wolf
changed.
Will turn back into a dog. It's all off the environmental factor. You can breed a dog back into a wolf, but with the environment that it lives in, it will inevitably come back to a dog. Because it's just how the environment demands it. You can't, like the dodo, again, back to the dodo. The dodo, if you breed it to fly, you breed it to run, you breed it to swim, if it has no natural desire to do it, or no natural need to do it, it will eventually stable out again.
Well, yes, I agree with what you're saying. What you're saying is that the environment shapes and forms it to be this certain way. So we can do the eye color example again. If the environment demands or requires that brown eyes are better for sustainability, like let's say they keep vision longer in their lives, then yes, the society will evolve to the point where brown eyes are a lot more common. But by that same measure, if in the society brown eyes are more common and there's kind of uncommon blue-eyed individuals, if for whatever reason blue eyes are better in the environment, let's say, I don't know, there's a random mystical event where God causes it. If you're brown eyes, you have a 50% chance to die. Then blue eyes will be better in society. I understand the notion that environment...
Wouldn't that become a dominant gene then?
No. Blue eyes are recessive.
But if the environment demands blue eyes...
Go to bed, no anesthetic. Go on.
Hold on. If we're bringing religion into this, religion and gods are a figment.
No,
They're
I
a
am
human-made
not.
Concept.
I'm using it as an example. It's not like I'm not literally bringing in religion into this.
I know, but the whole I don't know. Okay, just cut that part out and you just say, people brown eyes, 50% chance dies.
Why are you bringing religion into this? I was not trying to. I was just trying to think of a good example where blue eyes are beneficial because we're using beneficial traits in an example of environment. What did I walk into? Evolution talk. Lovely.
Yeah. So, but you're saying, let's say brown-eyed people just randomly go blind at a certain point.
Yes.
That'll probably start to affect the human genetic because if it's seen as a cancer to the genetic makeup, it'll eventually be bred out of the cycle because it's no longer beneficial. If it then be like amber, let's say amber is now the new color that's going to hold out better than brown eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to slowly become a dominant genetic makeup because of its use, right? I mean, I'm not crazy about genetics. You can always tell me if I'm wrong about that logic, but when certain genetic pools start to be more dominant than the other, and then
Well,
it'll dominize the population. I guess what you're saying is true with the whole blue eye thing. If people desire blue eyes, I guess it could be bred into a larger number. But that would be human tampering, right? I
well,
don't know if that would,
why is it technically human? So I think the distinction that you're having, or the issue that you're having
I'm short
problems,
circuiting on this.
the short circuiting I think you're seeing is your difference or your definition between what nature is and what like human intentions are. Do you think people, is it human desire, or is it nature for people to prefer or to be attracted to like an artificial trait, whether it's eye color or hair color? Do you think that is nature, or do you think that's just human desire or tampering?
I guess human nature, if you're having an interest of it.
So,
I don't know. My brain's starting to slowly go liquefied on this one. So,
because my original statement, what caused this entire thing, was me essentially saying that in a society where brown eyes are dominant and blue eyes are recessive, that if you wanted to, or for whatever reason, let's say blue eyes are more attractive, something of that sort, that the society would eventually get to a point where blue eyes are more common because they're more desirable. So blue-eyed individuals breed more, so they're able to pass on their trait more. That means that they become more common in society. Not necessarily that they take over the society and that everyone's blue-eyed, but that there's just a higher percentage of them. That is
I
essentially
mean,
what my entire thesis was.
I,
It would
I
cause
mean, I
this
guess
discussion.
that's true. That's true. It would be more sought if it's more sought after, and it's basically like almost every was it, like a random number I'm gonna give. Like let's say a town of 100,000 people, and this is happening, and it would be like 1 in every 5 people have a blue eye gene, right?
Uh-huh.
Even if they don't have blue eyes, I guess they would still have like higher odds of having blue eyed kids than, and even if they have like brown eyes, amber eyes, or whatever, their kids will end up having blue eyes. Is that what you're saying?
So
Or do you?
I'm not saying that the genetics change at all. The genetics are not the things that are changing. It's just the pool that exists. So like if you have a society where 75% of people have brown eyes and 25% have blue eyes, when they breed, brown eyes are going to be more common, and especially because brown eyes are more dominant. Let's take it in reverse. What if it's 25% have brown eyes and then 75% have blue eyes? If they start breeding, then brown eyes will become a little bit more common. If we're assuming that like every single blue-eyed individual breeds and every single brown-eyed individual breeds, the part where it becomes more difficult is when you consider desirability, the fact that some people do not breed and do not carry on, things of that sort. The
Well,
thing.
okay. If we're gonna count the people that say like 5% of the population chooses not to have kids, and that's a part of the brown eye population, right? And it's, so basically 20% of the population is now actively trying to have kids. Even with that numbers, with the higher percentage of brown or blue-eyed people, that's still a recessive gene, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the dominant gene of the brown eye will still inevitably be higher than blue eyes in the long term anyways. Even if like brown eyes are not a desirable trait, but they still get out there and they still have kids with blue-eyed people, even let's say brown eyes have like a 25% chance of their kids of having brown eyes, or sorry, let me rephrase that, 50% odds, because that's actually how dominance works. They still have brown eyes, or they have brown eyes, and their parents have like the scenario of blue and brown, right?
Yep.
that's still going to either be half the kids or 3/4 of the kids are going to have brown eyes because it's a dominant gene. A
Right.
dominant gene means it'll show up more in the population because of how I don't even know how to explain how blue eyes and brown eyes would exactly work like that.
All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna read
Because I
chat.
don't.
I'm gonna read chat
Okay,
for
go
a
ahead.
second, and we continue this. Technically, you
By
can
all
get
means.
surgery to burn away the brown pigment of blue eyes. Apparently, brown eyes have blue underneath. Ah, so they're all blue eyes anyway. So what's this discussion worth anyway?
Okay.
Evolution bends to whatever helps with survival in their environment, but small things can be skewed with things like beauty standards. That is essentially yes. So I think the piece that I want to say is I think the problem that we're having with this discussion, Wyatt, is that we're kind of jumping from place to place. I think if I laid everything out and I worked piece by piece, you would agree with me. But it's just what happens is when I talk about things like skewing to make certain traits, like specifically recessive traits, more desirable in society, then you start thinking, oh, but if someone who has dominant traits breeds with somebody who's recessive, then more likely then the dominant one's just going to continue anyway. So what does it matter? I think
Yeah,
that's kind of the problem.
that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm not for. You're correct. That's what I'm saying, though.
Yes, but the thing is that even in the case, so the thing with alleles is that most often when you do like genetics or you learn things like that, it's often the case that they display it as like having two. It's more complicated than that, but let's just go with that. Let's say somebody is purely dominant, two dominant alleles, and they breed with somebody who's recessive. Even in the case where the brown eyes are passed on, they become a heterozygous individual, which means they have a dominant allele and a recessive allele. So that means that when
Right.
they breed again, even if they breed with somebody who is brown eyes dominant, there is a chance, 25%, that their child will be blue eyes.
Right.
So
But now that
it,
kid.
in the short term, the brown eyes will continue and be prevalent in society. But as you go longer and further on, blue eyes can become more common in the society
But
because of the way
here.
genetics
Go
works.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing with recessive genes, right? Let's say the scenario of like, is every kid grows up and will go and immediately have someone with a kid with someone that also has blue eyes? Let's say 20% blue-eyed gene with this person, and the other person is already blue-eyed. So that's going to end up higher odds, being like an 80% or so, give or take, right? Whatever the numbers you want to give me for that. I don't know what the numbers are for someone that already has blue eyes for them to have their kids to have blue eyes. But anyways, um, if that person has kids with another person that has blue eyes, I guess that percentage will go up, sure. But if we're specifically only talking about how people are actively only breeding with people with blue eyes, even if they have brown eyes, then you're correct. They will eventually be either higher or equal to or more blue eye than there are brown eye population. But it doesn't really work that way normally, right? Are we talking about a designate slice? This is the way it goes. Like, you have to have blue-eyed kids. You
So
have to have kids with blue-eyed people.
genetics
Or
is
are we talking
complicated.
like it will just happen? Like randomly, brown eyes will have kids. Blue eyes will become even weaker in the genetic pool for that bloodline,
We are
which means they would go from 20% down to like 19 or 18%, and they'll go down to 16%, 14, and 12, 10, 8 so far,
So
etc.
the thing is what is that this conversation is we also keep going from points that are like very complicated situations, like very simple. And like for example, let's say two brown-eyed individuals have children, and they have children with each other, and then because some genetics is very complicated, and I have to simplify it into very weird means. Two brown-eyed individuals can breed, and then those two brown-eyed individuals can breed, like children, the whatever, and they can keep breeding. And
Right.
then eventually down the line, there's a child that has yellow eyes because genetics can be weird, and it can create these weird
What's an
mutations
epsilon?
that occur. So it's not always going to be just because a trait, like Tux is saying, just because a trait is dominant does not always mean that it's going to be the one that's immediately passed down. Even if you have two parents that are
Right.
completely homozygous and completely do all this, sometimes there's just a chance that something weird happens. That's why, like in
Right.
Africa,
Just
there are children who are albino, and sometimes it's just weird.
Right.
Sometimes weird stuff happens.
just like the thing I sent you, the little image I sent you directly to our DMs, where the parent 1 and 2 with brown eyes, the kid has a 75% chance of having brown eyes, 6.25% blue eyes, and 18.75 for green.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then it changes when, like you're describing, a blue eye and a brown eye having kids, and it's a 50-50. Are we talking about like a strict, you have to have kids with this type of people? Like a regime type scenario where it's like you have to have blue-eyed kids, or you will have to breed with blue-eyed people? Or is it like a do what you gotta do type of scenario? Because eventually it'll, to me at least, it'll eventually increase in the number anyways because of the dominance of it. Like I don't know. Maybe we're overcomplicating it. I feel like we're overcomplicating it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's a we situation because the problem I'm having. I feel like you're overcomplicating it a little bit because we've gone from like talking about a simple situation in which like it's an individual to like society, and then we're talking about like genetic variants. Like the thing about all of this is it's complicated. If you have a society, there's a lot of factors that go into distinguishing eye color, distinguishing dominance, distinguishing recession. It's easier to talk about simple bits and then work on understandings of that as opposed to working on these simple conversations and then immediately jumping into like, why is it that sometimes people have green eyes when we're just talking about like brown and blue eyes? It kind of makes it tough.
Well, I that's why I set the 100,000 people rule. You have a set number of population with the set amount of genetics. There's no external variations.
Yes, but hold on. I need to stop you real quick.
Go ahead.
Because if there's 100,000 people, my brain is telling me that the way that you think it would happen is that if there's 100,000 people and it's brown and blue eye, then like 75% of them exactly will have brown, and then 25% of them exactly will have blue. It will not be like that.
No, the percentage doesn't fall on that type of line. The percentage falls on like 18.75, 6.25. There's not an exact slice straight down the piece. There's your cut. There's your cutlet. No, it doesn't fall that way. Because people don't breed with only one set of people. People just fuck. They fuck holes.
Yes,
they
I
stick
understand
in
that
other
why,
holes
but
and
you're
they
making
like other people.
It's making this difficult because yes, the world is complicated, but in the example that I am talking about, we're just using one individual. Let's just say they put a magical room together in which they have a person with a brown eye and a person with blue eye, and the rate that they have in which they produce offspring is generally 75% brown and 25% blue. What I'm saying is in this magical scenario, if you counted all of the offspring, it would not exactly be for 100,000 offspring, 75,000 brown and 25% blue. No, accepted.
Okay.
What I am saying is that the number, even in this scenario, would be different. It would not be 75. Maybe it would be a little bit higher. Maybe it would be lower. It could be like 70-30. Heck, there could even be an example where it's 50-50. Where it's 50,000 and 50,000. Because statistics is weird. It's not likely, but it's still something that it could occur. It is complicated. It is not something where, like, it follows this exact path. What is this debate genetically mutated into? I do not know. I
don't know anymore, man. I feel like it devolved. That's what this conversation did. It devolved.
How about let's end it on this note? So just talk about it like this. All I have said, literally all I have said to make this, all I have said with this conversation is that if you are in a society with blue-eyed and brown-eyed individuals, in which blue eye is recessive and less common, and brown eye is dominant and more common, if for whatever reason there was a push to make it where blue eyes are more attractive, eventually, through breeding, presuming, and under the society, that people who are blue eyes have a higher rate of mating with other individuals because it's a more desirable trait, that the rate of people who are blue-eyed would go up in the society. Not that they would overtake. Not that eventually that blue-eyed would rule the whole world, but that the percentage would increase and it would go up over time. And we're not including factors like genetic mutation or like looking at statistical lines or like looking at nature and putting them on an island in which they are not able to grow rings anymore. That their rate would simply just go up because the people who are blue-eyed have a desirable trait and because they're able to breed more. That is all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, is that something you can agree on? Does that make
Sure.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's because I just don't know how to. I don't know how else to really discuss it because I don't know.
Okay. Take some
Awesome.
time to think.
Look
I'm
at
gonna kick you from the Discord call so I can.
I can DC myself.
No, you get kicked. I'm kidding. You can DC yourself. Okay, bye-bye. Can we conclude this here? Yes. It could be 99% brown eyes or even 100% brown eyes. Genetics be weird. Exactly. That they're both biologists. No. So if Wyatt is still here, the problem that I had with the discussion that we were having is that I was trying to make Wyatt focus on small digestible bits, and then Wyatt would just jump to something else, and it makes it really tough to talk about something complicated. At this hour, we can have this discussion again, but we need to take time to think about it. We need to take our divorce. We need to, like, sleep in separate bedrooms. Okay. It's not enough. Alright, back to the fishing. Like, Wyatt, I will gladly talk with you about this again. But taking time apart from each other, true. I'm taking the kids. I'm taking all the kids, which are disproportionately blue-eyed. I would have liked to comment. Ads? Yes. That was like a 40 or 30-minute conversation just about eye genetics. Is this stream in Microsoft PowerPoint mode? Is it looking weird? Has just nobody been commenting about that? It is, yeah. Nobody's commented about that in like the hour. You know what? Fine. Keep your PowerPoint presentation. You guys earned it. You deserve it. Hey, don't yell at me. I just got here. I'm not yelling at you. You're fine. Have the little character just like move over here. I'm doing that because the main computer should not be having problems like this. By the way. What could it be? Diddle dee dee. Maybe it's a setting that I changed. So let's try. No, it's still like a PowerPoint presentation. Because I'm using a capture card. Ugh, now this is just the game. Math itself is fine. But yeah, the game is choppy. It's not necessarily choppy on my screen. No way it's the... Sure, let's put an FPS limit. That'll real fix the problem, right? Full screen. Webfishing? Weird. Webfishing is just real weird, apparently, about this game. Okay, let's disable VSync again. Unlimited. It's 3 AM for you. Ah, hallelujah. You're almost done with homework. Let's go. Even after the genetics debate. Alright. What I'm gonna do. Yeah, so even with disabling the capture card, it does not fix that. I'll try reopening the game. Try that. I will be ending stream here shortly, but I may as well try to troubleshoot what this issue is. I should probably be able to go to sleep whenever you want. That's not necessarily at all. Insomnia says no. That's bad. It's 5 AM for me. As a wise man most definitely did not say, sleep is for the weak. What is Webfishing's problem? Okay. Let's just try a different game. I'm literally lying in bed in a pitch black room, brain go burr. Brain was like, I want to hear the intricacies of blue eyes and like brown eyes. It'd be really cool. So that's from running. I mean, this is about as intensive as... Maybe it's the laptop that's causing the problems, which that would be funny if that is the case, but... Whether I love deep philosophical debates, don't even get me started. Oh yeah, it might be the laptop. Oh dear. If even Balatro's struggling... what is going on? Balatro? I'm not actually gonna play it. I'm just using it as a test. Alright, so real quick. Hello. Hey, Sidra. You pulled up your magical ability of coming in near the end of streams, by the way. Cool bug fact about that. The bad wisdom. The bad wisdom. Do drugs. Enjoy the crime. All of the drugs. All of the illegal ones, especially. Deactivate. Now it's magically working. Okay, I lied. I'll do 1 round of Balatro. Copy gameplay and dual PC stream is usually caused by GPU overload, improper display duplication, or high network load. Fix this by setting the capture card as an extended display, not duplicated in Windows. And or also, alternatively, just turning it on and turning it off again. You see, the thing is, Tux, is that you have not nearly gotten on my level. It also could be because the capture card is overheating. That is a possibility. Also, there's no volume for the... Ah. That is an issue. Why no volume? Oh, I know why no volume. No volume because I forgot to Alt-Tab and re-un the game. Because my laptop has a great great thing that I love about it. The thing that I love about my laptop is the fact that it will purposely mute itself. And it is good. Almeo, sigh. Yeah, the audio's not working. There's still no audio. I know I fixed the problem by still causing no by still having no audio. So switch it here, switch here.
$101 for a Krabby Patty?
With cheese, Mr. Squidward, with cheese. So I fixed one problem by causing another one. Now that's the good stuff. The good wisdom I shall bestow upon today is that sometimes I think this will be pretty good, poignant from the little debate that I was having with Wyatt here. Sometimes it can be a little too much to try and take the whole world all at all at once. Like it's much easier sometimes to just take your issues and put them into smaller, digestible bits, and to just think about them from there. Thank you, Tux, for the 1 bit. The 1 bit, of course, representing the amount of bits that are going through for my audio setup. What can I do here? I can try that. Oh, you gave another bit? Whole bit? Eggman. Okay. 4 bits. Wow. It must be really familiar for me saying the word bit now. The bit must die. Okay. HDMI to USB. Perfect. Deactivate, activate. 128 bits. True, that's technically not exponential at this point. My god, it's going up so much, even though there's nothing going on right now. Now, this will be a real hype moment in the future when people are going to be like, flipping me. Wow, Spiggy, you're such a good streamer. I really loved the stream part where there was no audio. There's me talking in a deep, dark room. Bits to help fix the audio. True, the money will help me fix the audio. One last thing that I can do. Deactivate. If this does not work, I'm finally going to just like end stream. Because there's not much else I can do. It's not a problem with the monitoring. I skipped like 5 terms of the exponential function. Yes, because typically it goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and then 128. That means that there is a difference of approximately, so I think we stopped at 4. So 8, 16, 32, 64, and it was 5. Yes. I'm so smart. True, you are so smart. You know what? It's about 2 hours. I'm. You know what? I'm clocking out early for my second job. That's definitely what this is. There's no fun to be had. The debate was clearly just me, joking around, joking it, as it were. Great way to phrase that, by the way. So, anyways, if Wyatt's still here, I'll send him a message afterwards because hopefully, I do want to continue that eye discussion, but I feel like we both gotta just think about it. He's joking it on stream. Make sure to clip it too. Anyways. Wait, how many terms are needed for 5 to equal 125? Are in terms of doubling? Or in terms of just like 5 multiplication? It'll just be the second one, or third one. Yeah, third. Be 5 times 5, which is 25, then 25 times 5 is 125. I am. So yes, I will talk to you tomorrow about the I discussion, because hopefully you can think about it a little bit, and you can think about some of the things that I have said, and hopefully we can have a productive agreement, and we can come to terms. Translation for all you non-political people: you're wrong. Do your own research. I'm clearly right, liberal. Anyways, hopefully you all have a good rest of your day. Hopefully you did/will do something productive. Hold on. Bye bye. Good night. And of course, I was joking.